Welcome to the world of Kawasaki radio control. DSI Toys has brought you the first Kawasaki Super Gyro Ninja, an accurate 1/7 scale radio control version of the real Kawasaki Racing Ninja. If you spend a few minutes watching this video, you'll have a much easier time learning to drive your bike. Like a real motorcycle, practice is necessary, and you will become a better racer by following our Kawasaki Ninja racing tips. The Kawasaki Ninja has a super gyro right here. A spinning gyroscope by its nature wants to remain in one position, and it is this property that gives the Ninja its balance and control. When the gyro is forced in a new direction, it will activate the steering to correct a fall. It cannot overcome every unbalanced condition, but without it the bike would be very difficult to control. School, park, and church parking lots provide you the best driving surfaces and room for maximum speed and maneuverability. Small streets are not adequate for the high-speed turns you will enjoy after you practice driving your bike. Before you can drive your Kawasaki Ninja, you must first insert batteries into both the controller and the motorcycle. The controller uses one 9-volt alkaline battery, which is inserted here. Plug the wires onto the top of the battery. Slide the battery into the controller. Close the battery door and screw down the safety screw. The Kawasaki Ninja requires one 9.6-volt rechargeable NiCad battery. Simply plug the battery wires into the socket and slip the battery into the compartment. Replace the cover, ensuring that the wires are not pinched, and close the latch. For beginners, driving the bike can be made easier by removing the rider. Removing the weight of the rider lowers the center of gravity, making the bike more stable and easier to control. He is easily removed by sliding his hands off the handlebars, then lifting him off the latch. You'll want to put him back on the bike after you've had some practice racing. With the controller, you're able to steer, control the speed, and stop. Hold it in your left hand with your index finger on the trigger. Squeezing the trigger accelerates the bike. Pulling the trigger all the way back will speed the bike into turbo mode, its fastest speed. And pushing the trigger forward until it stops applies an electronic brake to the rear wheel. The purple wheel controls the steering. It should be held lightly like this. There are two foolproof methods for starting the bike. As a beginner, the easiest method is to lower the kickstand, turn on the bike motor, and place the bike on the ground. Hold the controller as we have already shown. Squeeze the trigger to the normal position, and the bike will drive itself off the kickstand and go straight ahead. You cannot start the bike with turbo speed. After you've learned to drive your bike well, there's an advanced method for starting. With this method, after the gyro is up to speed, simply roll the bike forward, squeeze the trigger, and start driving. Pulse steering is accomplished by turning the purple wheel on the controller. Hold the controller as before in your left hand, finger on the speed trigger, and your right hand holding the steering wheel. When pulse turning the bike, the wheel is not held over as with radio control cars. Instead, the wheel is gently turned and released, then turned and released repeatedly. This is called pulse steering or pulsing. If the wheel is held over, the steering input will be too much for the gyro to overcome, and the bike will fall over. Turn on the gyro and place the bike on the ground. Drive the bike away from you and gently turn the wheel and release it. The bike will lock into a turn. If you do nothing, the bike will remain in the turn, but the turn will gradually become larger. To tighten or maintain your original turn, you must pulse the wheel slightly. Practice pulse steering to maintain a circle that remains the same size. The bike must be slowed for tight turns, but large diameter turns can be made at much higher speeds. Pulse the wheel in the opposite direction and drive in a straight line. Pulse again in the same direction and practice turning the opposite way. After some practice, try a figure 8. Practice speed control. As you learn, the bike will fall over. It's okay. As you practice, you'll have fewer falls and crashes. Remember, when the bike is going away from you, it turns the way you steer it. When it's coming towards you, steer the opposite direction you want it to go. To turn right, steer to the left. Now it's time to practice and have fun with your DSI Kawasaki Super Gyro Ninja. Soon you'll be an expert and race like a champion.